Welcome, everyone, to the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast. This is Matt in Minnesota.
Chris in South London.
Happy November, Chris.
Yeah, happy November indeed.
It's Doctor Who anniversary month, and our pick, I think, reflects that.
Yes. Was that intentional?
No, it was not.
And also, as we get into the book, will discover that there's a reference to another anniversary, what is in the news at the moment, or has been in the news recently. Yes.
Well, it's intriguing.
We'll leave that. Yes, we'll leave that, and if I remember to mention it, point it out. Or just have that as a hanging thread.
Yeah.
So, should we start off with show and tell?
That would be great.
Right. What would you like to show and to tell?
More of a tell, I guess, but this month I'm going to mourn the announced end of LEGO Dimensions. Yeah. Telltale Games, or is it Traveler's Tales Games? I forget which of the two, but
I think it's Travelers, yeah.
They announced the end of LEGO Dimensions, and for those who weren't familiar with it, it was a kind of an expansive LEGO video game in the Toys to Life genre that not only had Doctor Who as a franchise, but a whole host of others, including DC Comics, Ghostbusters, Adventure Time, Simpsons. It really was a game where you could mix all sorts of properties, kind of a lots of chocolate in my peanut butter sort of experience. I describe it to some people as you could have the Sixth Doctor riding the Mystery Machine down the streets of Metropolis, or the Eighth Doctor riding Kit out of the TARDIS and into the corridors of Hogwarts. It was just such a really cool kind of genre mixing thing. The level of detail in the Doctor Who levels especially is just great, and it includes music by Murray Gold and some classic series tracks as well. And just the detail in the console rooms are incredible, and there are so many Easter eggs. So if you play the game any day that's divisible by the number 4 on the calendar, you get access to the secondary control room if you're playing as the Fourth Doctor.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, just lots of little things like that kind of baked into it. It also didn't seem to really be geared so much as for kids nowadays as for 80s kids at heart, and that may have precipitated its downfall, because I don't think you release packs like, Beetlejuice, Knight Rider, A-Team, Gremlins, or Goonies. Those really don't appeal to kids nowadays unless they had, have gone back and watched some of that stuff.
My neighbour, who is about 8, he has the original Ghostbusters LEGO Dimensions figures. But that's one that I think is possibly more kid-friendly. He also has the A-Team as well. It makes me all the sadder for the passing of my Xbox 360, which developed a red ring of death in the last month or so. My new home gaming system thing, I'm not going to shell out again for LEGO Dimensions, I suspect, because the entry price is not cheap. It's like sort of 50 quid or so. But it's good fun.
If you had previous sets, you can use them across the different platforms. But yeah, to buy into the initial game pack for, let's say, if you went to like a PS4 or an Xbox One, that'd still be kind of expensive.
Yeah.
R.I.P. LEGO Dimensions, but I'm still excited that I have a number of sets to play through that I haven't opened yet.
Yeah.
How about for you? Do you have any show and tell?
I do. I have a mixture of things. Like harking back to a show and tell you did of like when you got your new 3D television. So we have upgraded due to the death of the 360. May it rest in peace. We got rid of our TV. Our TV was a CRT with a video shelf.
Wow.
Yes. So we now have a 4K Ultra HD thing, and it's like having kind of travelled through time. And I've yet to watch any Doctor Who stuff on Blu-ray as yet, but yeah, certainly watching stuff already, I was just like, wow.
You're going to be in for a treat, especially stuff that you see on Blu-ray. Depending on what system you have or how it does the up-res to 4K, the amount of detail you'll see is just the textures, the hairs on people's heads. It's just great.
Yeah, I mean, we were watching Stranger Things the other day, and on launch day, and we could see actual goosebumps on the skins of one of the actors. Spoilers.
As you say, speaking of 80s kids.
Yeah, and that was just amazing to be able to see that, because we wouldn't have been able to see it on the old CRT.
I haven't started Series 2 of Stranger Things yet, but I did see that one of the characters has a Science Museum of Minnesota vintage shirt from '84 that he wears throughout it, and the Science Museum here locally is already has plans to re-release that as merchandise.
So the actual thing that I'm going to be talking about is I went along to a kind of Who convention at the Epsom Playhouse, called, I think it was called Who's On at the Epsom Playhouse, featuring amongst others John Leeson, Bob Baker, Matt Irvine, Louise Jameson, Peter Davison, and Colin Baker. It was a wonderful day. Lovely, just kind of spending time in the presence of these kind of great folks. So Louise Jameson asked for a show of hands as to what people thought of the incoming Doctor, whether people were excited. And the good thing was, so from my point of view, was that the majority of the people in the fairly busy theatre were in favour. Which is good. Good to see. So, under Q&A, neither Peter Davison nor Colin Baker were asked about their views, because I think those have been well aired elsewhere. Yeah, no, it was good, and I had a nice chat with Colin. So, because I timed my trip relatively well, having been standing in a very long line for Peter Davison, I just kind of thought, right, I'll sneak out. I can't remember who was on stage. Had a lovely chat with Colin, and it was nice, and a nice gentleman. And they had an interesting selection of kind of guests, including, and I'm going to forget his name now, as a gentleman that was in The Invasion of Time as one of, I think he's a Castellan possibly, and first name's Eric, surname escapes me at the moment, and he's now retired from acting. And he's running a bonsai shop in Brighton, which is why in the goodie bag you have a leaflet as to how to treat your bonsai plants. Because I was looking around going, really? Is there like a seed in here, or what's going on? And I went, now that makes sense.
That's the time, So not Android then?
No,
okay.
no, which would have been possibly fitting, given Louise James's presence. But and K9 was motoring along. They did talk about the much rumoured forthcoming K9 movie that apparently is just about to go underway. Kind of Bob Baker was kind of talking about that, but it's a kind of a great script, and it's going to kind of launch K9 into new markets and everything.
Do you know if that's going to be in the same continuity as the previous Australian series, or if it's... Because I never watched much of that. I think maybe the first episode or so. Yeah,
they didn't go into too much detail. So, I mean, there were opportunities to go and have a chat with Bob Baker and his kind of business partners, but decided not to. Yeah, the K9 Australian stuff has never really particularly interested me. I mean, it's not that I don't like K9. It's just I wasn't particularly infused. But anyway, it was an excellent day. I saw Colin arriving late, bless him. He arrived as I did, which was after the event had started. And he'd had car park difficulties, the poor man, because for some reason people in Epsom parked their cars badly, and he and I were leaving at the same time as well. I saw him having to get a special token from the car park attendant. No, it was lovely, and so it was... and it was good to hear John Leeson do his voice whilst K9 was moving around on stage. That was pretty cool.
Oh, that'd have been cool to see.
Yeah.
Excellent. So this month we are reading Prisoners of Time, which was a 12-issue comic book limited series published by IDW to celebrate Doctor Who's 50th anniversary. And it was released monthly throughout 2013, each of the first 11 parts featuring a different Doctor, which led up to the final multi-Doctor issue timed with the anniversary. And ever since the show's 10th anniversary, really, with the 3 Doctors, there's been an association, of significant anniversary years and multi-Doctor team-up stories. And Prisoners of Time really was the comic equivalent of this. There were several multi-Doctor anniversary specials besides this one for the 50th. Big Finish had The Light at the End. BBC Audiobooks had the Destiny of the Doctor series, not to be confused with the video game of the same title. And, and I've heard there may have even been a multi-Doctor 3D special simulcast on both television and in cinemas as part of the 50th.
Yeah, rumour of that has reached me, yes.
This was also the second to last thing IDW published that was Doctor Who related before they lost the license and that went to Titan. After this, the only other thing they put out was a Paul Cornell fourth wall breaking one-off special, which really was kind of a sweet love letter to fandom, called The Girl Who Loved Doctor Who, which included an oblique reference to the Verity podcast in it, which was really cool.
That's a beautiful story. I mean, if you only ever read one Doctor Who comic, I think that's a very good one. We're not going to be talking about it, but it's lovely. It's lovely.
Yeah, and this was written not by Tony Lee, which we thought might have been the case. Although he does have an essay in this collection. This was written by Scott and David Tipton, who are brothers, and it was edited by Denton Tipton, but they're not related. I looked this up. I was thinking, is this a family that runs IDW or something? But no, yes. They shared the same last name, but not related. The Tipton brothers had written some Star Trek titles for IDW before, including the Star Trek and Planet of the Apes crossover story, as well as the Star Trek Doctor Who crossover title that IDW did. And in an interview that was released around the time, they described their writing process as figuring out the plot together and breaking the issue down roughly by pages in terms of what's happening on each page. Then they divvy up the pages by scenes in such a way that they roughly each have about half to write with, and then they each script half the book separately and then put it together and then do a rewrite pass to make sure everything lines up. So I thought that was a kind of an interesting approach to the writing style. Thinking through the 12 issues, I didn't really notice that, in terms of how they divided it up, so it seemed pretty seamless to me, at least from that end.
Yeah, though I think at least one could have done with a rewrite.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and then in terms of the structure, as we mentioned, this was 12 issues published over the course of a year. It's been collected into a hardcover graphic novel, and it's been republished a few times. And it's also available on digital services like Comixology. Mm-hmm. And a notable thing this month, these issues go in order, linear by Doctor, so we aren't jumping around timelines.
Ish.
Although the comic stories didn't have any titles, each of them received a title as part of the graphic novel. Mm-hmm. So the titles weren't originally published. And then if you look at the covers, the 12 issues kind of line up to form an outline of the TARDIS, which is kind of a cool design.
Speaking of covers, there were alternative covers. As is the way of most comics of note, there's a handful of alternative covers per issue, and some of them are done by Dave Sim, who is an artist and writer, famous for writing the Cerberus series, which was a kind of fairly acidic Conan spoof originally, featuring an aardvark. So he's one of kind of like comics' great originals. It's quite strange seeing him as basically an artist for hire, because and he did alternative covers, for I think it's pretty much from the 9th Doctor onwards, and some of those are better than others. I looked at it and went, surely that is Dave Sim. Wow. Most
of the coloring throughout the books is done by Charlie Kirchhoff, although there's a few other colorists that are mixed in. And then the art for each book, it's a different artist for all 12 books. So you get a fair variety of art styles throughout, some of which are
more competent than others.
I would say more on model, yeah. One other thing about the covers, while they do make kind of a cool cover montage, sometimes they are guilty of false advertising.
Somewhat, yeah.
Like the first Doctor cover, for example, features the Mondasian Cybermen, but they're nowhere to be seen in that issue. Sometimes the monsters that appear on the covers do appear, and sometimes they don't. So it's kind of a hit or miss.
Yeah. Shall we begin?
Yes. So Issue number 1 is titled Unnatural Selection. It features, and we'll probably do this right, similar to how we do the short story books, because we have 12 issues to cover.
So like do 5-minute timing. Yeah.
The issue number 1, Unnatural Selection, features the first Doctor, Ian, Barbara, and Vicky. It opens with a mysterious, villainous, hooded-robed figure that is examining the Doctor's timelines and companions.
Yes, including one of the images is of Katie Manning's Dalek porn shot.
Yes.
on the very first panel.
So, for kids, I don't know.
Yes. I mean, it's there in the background, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's like it's clearly what it is. But,
yeah, I guess it could technically have been Kylie Minogue recreated that shot for DWM with clothes.
Yes,
but
yeah.
One of those two, yeah.
Yes.
We get a lot of different companions reference, and some that are hard to place, or the likenesses I couldn't really tell who they were supposed to be.
Yes.
But this is where we will have our dramatic reading for the month. It's a little bit on the shorter side, given that it's a graphic novel and it's just kind of the voiceover montage that opens the book. But let's have a listen. They are all the Doctor. He is the Doctor.
Rob.
He is the Doctor. He is the Doctor.
I know.
He is the Doctor.
But probably not the one you expected.
He is the Doctor.
Oh my word!
Some details remain the same.
Marvelous.
He is the last of his kind, a Time Lord, with knowledge of the universe like no
I
other.
am far more than just another Time Lord.
He is practically immortal, regenerating to a new, fresh body when death threatens.
There's no point in being grown up if you can't be childish sometimes.
He travels through time and space in the TARDIS, enabling him to be literally anywhere, anytime, without rhyme or reason. Sometimes he is an educator.
Lots of planets up north.
Sometimes he is a soldier.
They must be fought.
Sometimes he is a madman.
Stand aside before I shoot myself.
Sometimes he is the oncoming storm.
We all have a universe of our own terrors to face.
He is all of these things. But there is something else. He is never alone. He draws them to him, these lost souls so willing to be led that they follow him into the void. He needs them. The Doctor is never alone. I'm going to have to change that. The Royal College of Surgeons, London, England, 1868. All right, so that was our dramatic reading, and the Doctor lands the TARDIS at the Royal College of Surgeons in London in 1868. And he's taking Ian, Barbara, and Vicky to a lecture by Thomas Huxley, who was a famous biologist and supporter of Darwin's work.
Yes, and he was played by Toby Jones in the excellent film Creation about Darwin.
I haven't seen that, but it sounds good.
Yeah, it's worth looking at. Benedict Cumberbatch, very successful. Anyway, we're against the clock. So, so we Huxley gives a lecture of which we don't hear anything. And then the Doctor kind of goes back to Huxley's study, and a sort of somebody pops in and sort of says, "Oh, some students have disappeared whilst exploring London's new tunnels." And the Doctor says, "Oh yeah, I'll go and help you."
I did like Vicky remarks that some of the ideas seem very dated and inaccurate to her. She's from the 25th century, and you do get some cool moments where Ian and Barbara, being educators, Ian's fascinated by the science aspects and Barbara
That's true.
by the historical aspects. So yes, they all head underground to help find the students who are down there. They were looking for specimens unearthed
Of
from
what?
Yeah. Well,
Silurians?
I think didn't when the tunnels were being dug, didn't a lot of different specimens of things get found?
Well, possibly fossils and things. Maybe. Yeah.
The necklace from the Wheel of Ice was found.
Well, yes.
So the doctor's down there with his electric torch kind of impressing everyone, and the companions begin to feel headaches similar to their recent adventure on the web planet Vortis. And sure enough, they run into Zarbi in the tunnels, and the Animus is there, and it was brought there by a time portal that's still open. And we get a couple of cool moments between Huxley and the First Doctor as the Doctor tries to get him to accept the concept of life on alien worlds, and the missing students are found kind of wrapped up in cocoon spider dinner form, I guess. The Animus is kind of portrayed as like a large Cthulhu-type creature that's at the crossroads of some train tracks, and he starts gloating about his plan, and then all of a sudden...
Ian steals a train from somewhere and drives it into the Animus. Yeah. In the first ridiculous moment of this month's book. And, saves the day. Yay! And Doctor and Huxley have a chat about how important it is to keep all of this quiet. And the Doctor kind of is musing about how the Animus shouldn't have really had the power to do all of this all on its own. And then he notices that Ian, Barbara and Vicky seem to have disappeared.
Mm-hmm. And the Zarbi get shuttled back through the portal before it closes, so they're not wandering around.
Yeah.
And then we get a nice essay from John Ainsworth, producer and director with Big Finish, about the First Doctor comics, and learn about the adventures of John and Gillian and their grandfather in the pages of TV Comic in 64.
Yeah, and he says about how those comics bore little resemblance to what was on TV, and particularly citing the fact that Santa Claus appeared in it. Well, Santa might have appeared in Doctor Who since this is written. But and it's also... Yeah, because it's saying about how the First Doctor comics bear little resemblance to what's on TV. I'm not sure that this particular story is really in the style of a First Doctor story.
Yeah.
I mean, whilst he did have the occasional historical sort of celebrity cameo, one thing I will say is that the exterior of the building, Royal College of Surgeons, is actually what is shown in the comics, is what is shown, at least on Wikipedia, the same exact angle. So,
interesting.
Yes, good research there, folks.
Anything else you want to say about this one, or before we move on?
Vicky's drawn terribly.
Yes.
So
with apologies to Maureen O'Brien.
Yes, I'm sorry, but when Vicky appears on the kind of like the early monitor bit, so we look at all the comparisons, I think, who's the old woman? Oh, it's supposed to be Vicky. Oh gosh, we've got an entire issue of her. Great. Oh well, but it was nice touches about. It's like Ian is kind of referred to as Chettington and every other possible mispronunciation of his surname.
If you don't like the art style, it changes next issue. So
yes, and sometimes this is a blessing.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yes. Right.
So shall we move on to issue 2?
So this is drawn by Lee Sullivan, who was a mainstay of Doctor Who monthlies comics in the 90s. And also, he was in a Roxy Music cover band, I think as a saxophonist, for the best part of a decade. So, touring musician, and he also did a lot of Transformers comics as well, or some Transformers comics at least. I think that this story does play very much into his style.
And so this one's called Bizarre Adventures. Bizarre, like a marketplace. And it features the Second Doctor, Jamie and Zoe. I really enjoyed the opening of this one, where the TARDIS lands in an intergalactic bazaar. Think like The Fifth Element or Valerian and The City of a Thousand Planets. But they land the police box in a store called Just Police Boxes, amongst hundreds of variations of police boxes. Some with St. John's ambulance signs, some with wonky roofs, all the different...
Some are red.
Yep.
Yes.
And we get a nice, hey, doctor, look at the size of that one from Jamie.
Yes. It's also staffed by a blue-skinned gentleman and a giraffe that is apparently very rude. We don't actually see him speaking, but Jamie's furious as to what the giraffe tells him, how ridiculous he looks.
We get a lot of different aliens milling about, and they explore the mall a little bit and visit the food court. Some of the food court offerings are for the Hath from The Doctor's Daughter, the Space Pigs from Aliens of London, and Magister Meals, which is probably a Master-related long game where he's running a food court business.
Probably. Also, the Doctor wanders past a hat shop and you see a fez hovering just above his head, which I imagine is like a nod to Matt Smith.
Mm-hmm. Or Troughton liking to dress up a lot, or both, yeah, but probably more Matt Smith, yeah.
Yeah.
So you have this kind of mall of the galaxy sort of thing,
Yeah.
but you have a black market operating within it by a trade consortium known as the Vorax, and they look like crocodile or alligator-looking creatures that walk upright, and they're engaged in the slave trade, and they've got their sights set on Jamie, and they're trying to purchase him from the Doctor, but he won't sell him, but then he's thinking that they're going to kidnap him anyway, so the Doctor plants a tracking device on Jamie, and
Yes.
sure
Doesn't
enough...
tell Jamie.
Yeah.
Doesn't tell Jamie about any of this.
He may have sewn it into the lining of his kilt or something, who knows.
Yeah. Better ask. So Jamie gets captured in a bike shop, of all places, and Zoe and Doctor return to Dvorak's shop, and they find it's shut down, but so they follow this trail. Transmat onto the ship. Yeah, because they talk quite a bit about sort of transmatting, and because I do try to wonder when in the Doctor Who continuity this is set in the Second Doctor's timeline. Because later on we'll see some white robots appear, and nobody sort of says, "Oh, it's just like in the Mind Robber."
They tracked Jamie down to his cell, but there are hundreds of prisoners all in the cells, and they've transmatted up to it's like a cargo ship in orbit. The Doctor releases all the cells and the prisoners, but the slaves don't try to escape because they're really completely demoralized at this point. The Doctor finds another cell with some ice warriors in stasis, which this leads me to think that this might be set after Seeds of Death, because Zoe's familiar with both T-Mat and Ice Warriors, but that could just be because she's from the future too. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I don't know how familiar she is with the Ice Warriors, because like Jamie starts using the term, and
the Ice Warriors smash all the security robots, and that kind of inspires those who were captured to start fighting back. It would have been nice, I think, to have seen more cameos from known Doctor Who species, because all the aliens we get are very generic. You'd see the same sort of background characters in any Marvel or DC book.
You also see the creature from the Black Lagoon, and you also see a kind of like a 1930s Wolfman. However, Lee Sullivan is quite prone to drawing the creature from the Black Lagoon in crowd scenes. So it's one of his things.
Kind of like how Christopher Jones sneaks in the Convergence mascot Connie into each issue of his. So the Doctor, Jamie, and Zoe leave the cargo ship in the hands of the escaped prisoners. They beam back down to the planet, and it's kind of mission accomplished, except when they beam back down, it's just the Doctor alone. His companions have vanished. And then it ends with another essay from John Ainsworth, again talking about the TV comic, but this time focusing on the Troughton era and kind of lamenting some of the violence that's found its way into the comic strip, as the stories back then tended to align more to the Avengers or Danger Man.
Yeah. One thing that I found quite interesting about this story was that there was this notion in the 90s that Troughton stories were full of wacky aliens, or at least it seemed to be a notion. And this dives deep into that very much. And I don't know, when I think of Troughton, I think of Base Under Siege, rather than necessarily kind of like talking two-legged versions of animals. There's lots of lovely imagery in this.
I liked this one quite a bit. It was one of the ones that stood out to me, I think, a little bit more.
Yeah.
Some of the other ones, but it could be just because it's one of my favorite Doctor and Companion combinations too. So.
And Lee Sullivan's just having fun.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. And also, I love the fact that Shops there is called Horrids, and it's written in the same font as the Harrods logo. So, I guess you don't see Lee Sullivan often at Harrods.
All right. So issue 3 is called In With the Tide. Features the Third Doctor, Sarah, Jane, and Liz and the Brigadier.
Yes.
And art by Mike Collins.
And Mike Collins is another DWM mainstay. I mean, he did pretty much, I think, all of the artwork for the Ninth Doctor and the first year of the 10th. He's no stranger to Doctor Who, though I don't know if he's necessarily drawn the Third Doctor before.
We should mention that the Ice Warriors were on the cover with the Second Doctor, and they did show up in that book. The Delgado Master's on the cover of this book, but spoilers, he's not in it.
No.
I have to say the art style on this one feels really heroic and gothic almost, with a bit of a pop art sensibility, and I thought it really suited the Third Doctor. It may have been my favorite art style in the whole book. I just really liked the use of lighting and the pop art Andy Warhol moments with they used a lot of Ben-Day dots in the frames. So
Yeah,
I really like that.
some lovely punchy colouring as well. I mean, it sort of like it's like quite often I don't really notice the people that, to quote Kevin Swift, do the colouring in. Here, it really does leap out at you. It's very well done.
This one opens in unit headquarters in London in 1974, and they're very. I was going to say they're very sure of themselves on that date.
Yes. This didn't annoy me at all. No.
Liz Shaw is on temporary assignment back with unit from Cambridge University, and she's called the doctor to headquarters. The doctor's off traveling with Sarah Jane at this point, during season 11, and you get a moment where Liz and Sarah Jane meet for the first time.
Yeah.
The Brigadier is very erratic, and he's sending troops every which way and calling for the Tower of London to be flooded, and his orders don't make sense, and there's an increase in storms and floods happening worldwide. Liz Shaw kind of attempts to relieve him of duty, and he's shouting, and then the doctor notices something in his throat.
Yes, and discovers that there's an alien in his tonsils, the Remoraxian, which that sounds more like an RTD era alien than a Pertwee one. And so the doctor manages to kind of coax the Remoraxian out.
With like a sonic gun that he builds.
Yeah.
And think like the insect creature from Star Trek Wrath of Khan, maybe, in terms of this thing that's crawling out of the Brigadier.
Yeah.
Agent Paul arrives from the CIA, and I kept thinking he was the Master. Because his art, it just looked like the Master in disguise, and I thought, he's on the cover, but if it is the Master, he's never revealed as such. It's just a generic U.S. CIA Bill Filer type agent, and we also get to see the Who-mobile in action, in a rare appearance.
Because they find out that the Moraxians have taken over a coastal base, so off they go, and the Doctor and Sarah use the Who-mobile, whereas everyone else kind of goes in by another route. So obviously, being a current companion sort of means you're entitled to ride in the Who-mobile. So
sorry, Liz.
Yeah. Sorry, love. Didn't get an exit story. Don't get to ride in the Who-mobile. Bye. Yeah. So as unit are trying to take control of the base, the Brigadier is swallowed by a whale. So yes, this is the second month running in which a major Doctor Who character ends up in a whale.
Well, the Doctor gets attacked by an octopus. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm getting flashbacks.
Yeah. I thought we got past the horror of the Eye of Heaven, but no. Yeah, and then they're taken to basically a Jabba the Hutt ripoff, who is the Remoraxian Prime.
He's like Jabba, but blue.
Yes, yeah. Just to stop George Lucas from suing. He starts talking about seizing power from the surface dwellers, and it's a good thing that he's talkative, because all that his henchmen say is glub. And he's also built in a trapdoor which sends the Doctor and Brig into the water. So yeah, he is very much like Jabba the Hutt, isn't he?
He also mentions that he's mad at the humans because he's going to have to spend a lot of time cleaning up all their ocean pollution left over as he takes over the world. The Brigadier and the Doctor get rescued by two people in scuba gear who turn out to be Liz and Sarah Jane, and they have been following the Doctor, I guess.
Well, yeah, but also, I mean, I didn't realise that Sarah's scuba. I mean, I've done a little bit of scuba. It's not something you could just suddenly start doing and then just be able to haul somebody. Because, John Pertwee was not a small man. But hey-ho. But that's not where things get particularly silly, because that's about to come. So Agent Paul's managed to use the comms room of the base, and where he's ordered the Amiga solution to happen, which is nuking Britain, and then Nixon appears on TV.
Last seen in The Impossible Astronaut.
Yes. And also, bear in mind, this is 1974. This is at the height of Watergate, because he resigns in August 1974. Mm-hmm. So he's obviously got a bit on his plate. So he says, yeah, we'll just destroy Britain. Sorry about that. Which is what he says in his address to kind of like not to the nation. Doesn't give the courtesy of that, but just to kind of like US service personnel based overseas.
Yeah.
And so Agent Paul sort of says, well, look, the bombers on their way, so if you can find a solution, go and do it. Otherwise, we're all going to get blown to smithereens. Yay! So the Doctor and Brigadier run off to kind of go and speak to the Meraxians. And the solution basically consists of, do you mind terribly if you head off? And the Meraxian Prime says, yeah, that's all right. Yeah, nuclear weapons sound like a bad idea. So the threat of nuclear destruction saves the day.
Yes, the
Wonderful.
the mutually assured destruction doctrine.
Yes. Yeah, so the Doctor can't use guns. No, but nuclear weapons. Oh, dear.
At the end of this story, again, Sarah Jane, Liz, and the Brigadier get kidnapped. But this time, the Doctor catches a glimpse of the hooded figure who we had seen in the prologue, or the opening of the entire story.
Yeah.
The hooded figure is using a vortex manipulator that looks suspiciously like Captain Jack's, the same one, or the same style of one that Clara uses in The Day of the Doctor to go back in time. And then we also get an essay from Gary Russell about Third Doctor strips in Countdown magazine.
Well, yeah, and also leads into the Fourth Doctor. And so basically he seemed to write an essay that covers the entirety of the Third and Fourth Doctor's comics history.
Which is good, because the Fourth Doctor doesn't get his own essay next month.
No, just gets a picture of Leela.
Why not talk about Iron Legion or something?
Yeah, it does seem a bit odd, but anyway, yeah, this was a strange story. I enjoyed the start of it. I don't know. I wish that to quote the Fifth Doctor, there'd been another way.
Yeah, it just seems like getting up and leaving. Although you kind of got that in the Christmas Invasion, right? The Doctor convinces the Sycorax to leave after trial by combat.
Yeah, that's true.
There is that intermediate step where something happens, right? Where he has the sword fight, and there doesn't seem like there's any sort of climax to this story apart from Nixon's speech.
Yeah, so it's Nixon saves the day?
I guess.
So... Yeah, lovely stuff. Shall we move on to something that is less Nixon-y?
Yes.
So
Issue 4 is called A Rare Gem, and it features the Fourth Doctor, Leela, and K9, with art by Gary Erskine. Erskine? I'm not familiar with his work.
No, I believe he's a 2000 AD artist.
This features the Judoon on the cover, and hey, the Judoons show up in it too.
Yay!
Yep. This opens in the TARDIS with K9 trying to teach Leela equations.
Yeah, why?
Yeah. It's set on the primary control room, which makes sense because the secondary control room was last seen in The Invisible Enemy when K9 came on board. And the Doctor comes in and announces he's hungry and wants to go to a banquet on the planet Agratis, which is a kind of a beautiful farm world that's also home to the Jewel of Faten, which some say you can see infinite complexity in the facets of the jewel. They open the doors and they find themselves in the middle of a Judoon police zone, and so they leave, they head back to the TARDIS, and they materialize in orbit, and they see a Judoon fleet, and it looks like the jewel has been stolen.
Dun dun dun. So the Doctor, because he's got a friend of his who lives on the planet Agratis, so a guy called Mason Vox, who is he's red-skinned like most of the people. Also, his name reminds me of Real Docs from Brainiac, the Superman villain. He has a slight look of Real Docs about him. I can only assume it's deliberate. And we also find out that the planetary economy is driven by tourism for the jewel. And I was just saying, surely that's got to only be within the same solar system, because it's got to be quite a time commitment to be traveling through space on
to stare at a gem.
Yeah. I mean, I've been to the Tower of London. I've seen the crown jewels, but I mean, and I didn't. Yeah, as impressive as that is, it's a tube ride is justified. But then again, each to their own.
It's hinted at that one of Mason's daughters, her boyfriend, may have stolen the jewel for research purposes.
Yeah, and what's the name of the boyfriend? Roger. At least that's how I pronounce it. So, Writes a thesaurus, steals a gem.
The Jejun are kind of roughing up the populace in, looking for this lost item. The doctor goes to the cave where the gem was originally found, and Leela and K9 are sent off to kind of create a distraction.
Yes.
Leela steals one of the Jejun tanks and lets K9 take over the tank. She steals a speeder bike from the Jejun, and it feels very Star Wars as Leela battles a Jejun version of an AT-AT walker.
Yeah. Any parallels to Return of the Jedi, I suspect, are quite deliberate.
Yeah. So this gets the Jejun to focus on her and not the rest of the city. And the boyfriend is found in the crystal cave, placing the jewel back where it was originally found, which unlocks crystal creatures kind of coming out of the walls of the cave. And then the doctor kind of just leaves it to them. He says, hey, you have to now coexist with these crystal people. And, oh, by the way, you no longer have the gem as a form of tourism. Bye-bye.
Yes, yeah. And I'm sure no war started here. Yeah. Everything was peaceful and good. It's like, did you do? Like, yeah, this seems like it's all right. We're going to leave now. Yeah.
And then K9 and Leela get knocked out and kidnapped by the hooded figure.
Yes. Yeah. Well, this was an issue. So Tom Baker, I mean, the Fourth Doctor doesn't really come across particularly Fourth Doctor-y, I don't think, in this. And also, he looks more like a young John Hurt in some places, I thought. But I think I might. This is probably my least favourite because I just.
Yeah, it was down there for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it just felt like sort of like a bad Marvel Comics alien planet, and just we're not doing anything interesting here. And yeah.
Interesting you mentioned John Hurt because we should note that this comic series started in January and it went through November or December. John Hurt was revealed in May, right, in The Name of the Doctor.
Yeah.
But absolutely zero allusions to him throughout the story. No, I was expecting maybe, in the poster board that the hooded figure, has up of all the different faces of the doctors and stuff, that you might get a glimpse of like one in the shadows or something, but not an iota of reference to the War Doctor anywhere.
Well, I guess the timescales would have been against them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe even if it had just been like, if John Hurt had been announced a month or so ahead of time or something, that might have helped. But I mean, it can take a fair old while to do all of the... Yeah.
So, shall we move on to issue 5?
Yeah, let's.
So this one's called In Their Nature. It features the Fifth Doctor, Adric, Tegan, and Nyssa, and the art is by Philip Bond.
Yes, of whom I know nothing, I'm afraid.
And the Sontarans are on the cover, and they are in the book.
Yay!
Along with the Rutans.
Yes.
And so this opens with this hooded figure, not so much hooded now. He looks like an older man. He's shown putting the companions who are kidnapped into different stasis tubes, kind of building a collection and of Doctor's companions. And the Doctor materializes in a skirmish between the Rutans and the Sontarans, initially on the Rutan side, but they escape to the Sontaran side. And the Rutans are depicted as like floating jellyfish here. Yeah. So a little bit different than how they were depicted in Horror of Fang Rock. And the reason the Doctor's there is because there's a similar rift as there is in Cardiff, kind of by the Torchwood Institute, in Boomtown. So he's recharging the Artron energy in the TARDIS, and he mentions he only has to do this every couple hundred of years. And, they're getting caught up in this back and forth war, and not a lot happens in this issue. I mean, the Doctor kind of goes into talks about, starts telling the tale of the scorpion and the frog, crossing the river to his companions, kind of talking about the futility of endless war. And then the cloaked figure appears and he finishes the Doctor's thought and says that putting innocence in harm's way is just the Doctor's nature as he takes the companions away.
But also, I think one thing, I won't necessarily say moving, but I thought it was quite interesting. I mean, because I've never heard of the story of the frog and the scorpion. I don't know if that's particularly well known. Basically, these two creatures are supposed to be kind of like helping each other, and then the scorpion, whilst being helped by the frog, kills it, even though he also dooms himself, because he sort of says, well, it's in my nature. And because there's a similar thing that happens with the Sontarans. So the Doctor basically implies a strategy, very loosely, that would help the Sontarans kind of get away, and it looks like the Sontarans are going to use it, and then they're just like, nah, we're just going to charge into war anyway. So, yeah. I also quite liked the use of the Rutan, the fact they were using their electrical impulses to operate their guns and stuff. I mean, I wouldn't say this was necessarily a clever story. There was a little bit more to enjoy here, but it's just, yeah.
Yeah, this one felt less plot, more thoughtful, I think.
Yeah.
The Scorpion and the Frog story, I've heard it several times.
Okay.
Maybe it's more well-known in America.
Stateside. Yeah.
But it's told in different variations. Sometimes it's a frog and a scorpion. Sometimes it's a fox. Sometimes it'll be used as like a math problem where you have a boat and you have to take like two animals across the river and one will eat the other one, and it's how you do it without getting them in the boat at the same time, sort of thing. So it's something I've heard a few times. But yeah, I did like how they compared it to like you said, to the Rutans and the Sontarans, and how they're kind of locked in this endless struggle because of how they were really designed, right? They were bred for war, and this is in their nature.
So should we move on to the Sixth Doctor?
Yes. Issue 6, called Facades, featuring the Sixth Doctor, Frobisher and Perry, with art by John Ridgway.
Yes, and so John Ridgway for me is the Sixth Doctor artist. He did most, if not all, of the Sixth Doctor's run in Doctor Who magazine, and at least until Big Finish started, that was the best version of the Sixth Doctor.
So he was the artist for like Voyager and all the...
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Huh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily a very modern style, but it's a very distinctive.
Yeah, and it felt realistic. Like, not so much like he was tracing pictures, but almost photorealistic in that just very sharply defined features and very on point in terms of capturing the likenesses, I thought, too.
Which works well, particularly because with a lot of the Sixth Doctor comic stories, particularly in the Doctor Who magazine days, they would put in some very wacky concepts, and his art helps sell those.
And I think it also helps ground at least the human or the human appearing parts more in reality too. When you have that, it helps for me define the contrast between that and fanciful, not based in reality elements that often came in with the Sixth Doctor stories. Yeah. So this one has Autons on the cover, and they are in the book.
Yes.
So that's good.
Yep.
It opens with the Doctor and Perry visiting what appears to be Antarctica so that Frobisher can try hanging out with some of the other penguins.
Might be a good idea just to briefly explain who Frobisher is.
Yes.
In case people have never heard of him. So he is a Whiffadil, which is a shape-changing creature. So he is the shape-changing companion from the 80s that worked. And is popular. And also, it's fairly early on in the time that the three of them were travelling together. The Doctor has to kind of recap to Perry some of the events of Voyager as to how he and Frobisher met. And which also helpfully brings people up to speed. So so basically Frobisher was a private eye, and he's now in the comics he was usually stuck as a penguin due to an illness, but that illness kind of like the TARDIS chameleon circuit and also TARDIS navigational powers, it varies depending upon what the story requires.
What the story calls for. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So it turns out that they're not in Antarctica, they are in Antarctica, but they're in a nature preserve. They run into some glass, like a glass wall, and it turns out they're in the last wild remnant of Antarctica. The rest of the continent has been terraformed into one giant city under a dome, and they are in the year 7214.
And when they find out, because like Frobisher runs into this wall, and I thought he'd hurt himself on the edge of the comic panel because that's the kind of crazy stuff that would happen in the Sixth Doctor's comic era.
Oh, fun.
So I was a bit disappointed. Oh, it's an invisible door. I thought it was the panel. So, I love the Sixth Doctor comics. You might be able to tell. So they go out into the city. They're not there too long before they start getting kind of chased by some wonderfully blocky robots that define them as a lunatic, a penguin, and a female in a parka.
And these security guard robots are chasing them, and they decide to split up and hide in an amusement park which is adjacent to the nature preserve, or part of the same area. Frobisher changes into a carousel horse, which Perry rides to elude them.
Yes, and they then describe themselves as mother and child, and start asking questions of the robots as to what was the man doing that caused him to be chased and what's happened to him and stuff. And they find out that the doctor has been taken to an asylum.
Yes, where the Anthony Ainley master makes an appearance,
Yes.
and he says he said trying to kill the doctor rarely works, so he's keeping the doctor on ice here at the asylum for a very long time to keep him out of the way.
Yes.
And Perry and Frobisher try to sneak in to free the doctor. Frobisher's shape changes into a guard.
You're very right. It does impersonate a guard. He impersonates a guard whose ID says Dr. W. Hartnell, and his badge number is 6366.
I missed that detail. Huh.
Yeah, that's
fun.
lovely. I love that.
They discovered the guards are all Autons, who begin shooting at Perry and Frobisher, through their handguns.
Yes. Yeah.
And the doctor escapes from his straitjacket from a trick he learned from Harry Houdini.
Yes, so again, another callback to Eye of Heaven.
Oh, yeah.
Is it Eye of Heaven also? He was talking about Houdini.
Yeah. And then he hides in the ceiling, which can't see Colin Baker doing that.
No.
And then he punches a guard, only to find that he's punched the guard's head off and the doctor realizes he's up against the Autons. And then he escapes, meeting up with Perry, and they barricade themselves in a power room, and the doctor melts a bunch of Autons, and then Perry gets kidnapped.
Wouldn't it be toxic, melting the
Yeah.
Autons? I mean, nobody seems to suffer any ill effect. But
So this part's really cool. We think Perry gets kidnapped. However, it turns out it's not really Perry. It's really Frobisher disguised as Perry, and he's not affected by the stasis chamber that this hooded figure puts him into because the nodes don't quite reach his temples. He shrinks down and escapes. And we learn this was due to a warning he received in the Sixth Doctor's console room from a holographic 10th Doctor, warning him about what's to come and to swap, for him to be kidnapped in Perry's place. And then it ends with another essay by Gary Russell, this time about the Sixth Doctor era of comics. And I have to say, I really enjoyed this one, and I really feel like Scott and David Tipton really captured the Sixth Doctor's voice especially well. I think they do that really well with the second, the sixth, and I want to say the ninth Doctors in particular. I just really got a sense of the character coming through.
yeah, there's a very firm sense here of the Sixth Doctor. I love the fact there is no indication as to how the Doctor defeats the Master.
That's true, yeah.
In this. We just leave mid-story. But I love this.
Maybe it was a part of the Master's food court plan that's yet to be told.
Maybe.
Yeah, this is a great one.
Yeah. So we now move on to the Seventh Doctor and a story called Cat and Mouse.
With art by Kev Hopgood, who I'm not familiar with.
No, nor am I. We also have Durrani on the cover. So I kept on expecting her to pop up in the story. She doesn't.
It took me a while to catch that it was the Rani, because I didn't think it was the best likeness of Kato Mara. I was like, is that supposed to be the Rani? Okay, yeah.
Well, I couldn't think who else it could be.
Yeah, same.
But, yeah.
So this opens in Scotland in 1830, which is very fitting for the Seventh Doctor. And the Doctor and Ace are visiting Nurse Mackenzie, who's caring for two ailing elderly patients in a castle. Ace uses a scanner to find a room full of futuristic laboratory equipment, and they find a parasitic creature that's chained up. They release it, and it attacks Ace, and Ace has to blow it up with some Nitro 9.
Yes, yeah. There's also the nephew of these two elderly patients is this guy called Campbell, who's wandering around, sort of like a very menacing presence, and it's quite clear that he'll inherit should his aunt and uncle die. So the Doctor, after the 99 explosion, the Doctor goes and sort of finds Campbell, and then, surprise, it's the Master again.
And it's the Anthony Ainley Master. And in a really nice nod to continuity, the Master is wearing the same cloak that he sports in Ainley's final appearance. So the same Time Lord cloak that was created and used for the Destiny of the Doctor video game from 1997. That was kind of a cool nod, I thought.
Yeah, I was wondering where that cloak was from, because that cloak also, it felt a bit like what Eric Roberts wears, but it wasn't obviously the same. Yeah, I was thinking that there was a reference there that I was kind of not getting. The Master is working with a partner who describes as an old friend of the Doctor, and he's been using the alien's energy to power the partner's activities.
They're revealed to be energy wraiths called the Aeroliths, the elderly couple. The Master it's revealed was draining their energy, and he makes an allusion to his larger plan, like you referenced, to help the Master's, quote, new companion, whom the Doctor hasn't met yet. The Doctor disables the equipment, and the Master flees, being chased by the Aeroliths, who have kind of reverted to their true electric energy being form. And the Doctor remarks that when they catch up with him, they'll torture the Master, which will only kind of further exacerbate the Master's descent into the abyss, he says. Which really, to me, it helped bridge the continuity gap from, the Master being slightly crazy to being really, really bonkers in The Sound of Drums. This torture will be really, really, really bad. Ace gets kidnapped in the end by the cloaked figure, who is presumably the same person working with the Master, although we don't have certainty around that yet.
I did not think that, because I was just wondering whether that was just I thought that the partner thing was a throwaway reference.
Oh, at this point in the book, I kind of connected the two and thought they were related, but yeah, it's never stated, and it could just as very well have been a one-off.
Yeah.
We also get an essay at the end from John Freeman, who was a former editor of DWM, talking about how the magazine and the comic strip had to kind of transform after the cancellation of the show in '89.
Definitely at that time, you could tell suddenly they went, right, we're going to be season 27, because whilst the Sylvester McCoy era was on TV, the stories, by and large, were not that great and didn't necessarily reflect what was happening on TV, apart from, the one exception I would say was Nemesis of the Daleks. But then it has this season 26 vibe, and the story, this particular story, has that season 26 vibe as well, or season 27 probably. I thought this was great.
Yeah. The next issue 8, is called The Body Politic. It's an Eighth Doctor story, and it has art by Roger Langridge, which I'm not familiar with him.
No, nor am I.
I have to say I'm not super happy that the Eighth Doctor got this art style. I was hoping for something a little more, because it's very whimsical and kind of cartoony feeling, and I was hoping for something a little bit more mature and matching in tone to Night of the Doctor, but as you said, IDW probably had no knowledge of that, whatsoever. So this feels more, I guess, in keeping with early Eighth Doctor, I would say. Yeah,
I mean, the artwork works more with some of the characters that appear in it that aren't regulars. It's strange. I mean, it never really quite captures Paul McGann, I don't think, particularly. We have the Eighth Doctor and Grace, and so we start off with an extended setup of them reintroducing themselves just for one last trip. And it's like, why do we have to go back to Grace?
Yeah, and this is, 2 or 3 months after the TV movie. I really wish the Eighth Doctor had been paired with someone from the audios or the novels or DWM strip companion. Maybe there were licensing issues, I don't know, but anyone other than Grace, that would have been fine.
Also, I mean, Grace herself has had licensing issues, so I guess Fox don't know about this, because Fox owned the copyright to Grace.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, because there were attempts to have her in some of the other Doctor Who materials, and they couldn't use her. Well, thank goodness that Fox ended up with a copyright to her, rather than somehow ended up having joint copyright for the Doctor or the Master or the TARDIS or something stupid. It's because we could do without Grace. I mean, she's perfectly fine, but yeah, no one's terribly excited about her coming back. Maybe.
The Doctor tempts her with one trip, and he takes her on kind of this whirlwind, almost new series style, right, where they're seeing the sights and the TARDIS doors are open, and she's starting to get really queasy, so the Doctor says, okay, we're going to stop on solid ground and take you to the nearest farming colony.
Yes.
which they meet up with a family and have dinner, and that's where they learn about the overseers. So you've got kind of a feudal system set up, not dissimilar to what we saw in State of Decay in E-Space.
Yes.
A couple of the teenagers from the village are being taken to the central city. The overseers kind of look like creepy kind of crescent moon faces. And I had this flashback to a really old McDonald's ad campaign from the 90s where they had a Mac the Knife, like creepy talking crescent moon guy in a tuxedo.
I mean, these guys have got their bright sunglasses. I mean, they're quite striking visually, which is just as well because everything else is a bit rubbish.
Grace and the Doctor kind of follow the teenagers that are being taken to the central city. They steal a hover car, and it gets a little pirate planet going on there.
Which is also not one of my favourite stories, but yeah. And so there's a lot of running around in corridors, and then they very easily free the kids and discover there's like an organ farming operation going on. So the Doctor tells the overseers to leave, and nobody fears them. And so it seems like the overseers are going to actually leave. We don't know. We're not actually told the overseers will now properly all go off planet and leave everything to it. And
I think they will, because their secret's discovered, and the reason they have to do all this organ harvesting is that the slightest scratch could kill them.
Yeah.
So that's why the two overseers that the Doctor and Grace tussle with, it's implied that they die. They get killed by their little tussle with Grace and the Doctor.
But you'd have thought as well, if they were so fragile, they'd also have like some better weaponry and
armor.
Yeah. Well, not just armor, but you kind of think that they will have some big weapons back in the base that they haven't really had need to kind of show yet. I do wonder whether there is some more trouble to come for the poor feudal people.
The figure who's been kidnapping everyone appears at the end again to kidnap Grace, but the Doctor anticipates this move, and he begins to slowly remember what's happening, and that previous companions had been kidnapped as well. And he has a conversation with the person who says the Doctor has wronged him, but the Doctor still gets zapped and knocked out, and when he wakes up, Grace is gone. And then we also get an essay at the end from Scott Gray, who's the former DWM assistant editor, about the Eighth Doctor's time in the DWM comic strip. And we also get the Celestial Toymaker on the cover. But he's not in the book.
Thank goodness, yes. Yes. Yeah, I'm not quite sure whether anybody would have kind of gone, oh, look, here's a slightly troubling, outdated character. Oh, yes, the Celestial Toymaker. A very good, as they all are, a recent episode of The Writer's Room talking about the Celestial Toymaker. And
I just listened to that one a couple of weeks ago, yeah. That was a
yeah.
good one.
Yeah, and I must say, the Celestial Toymaker himself as a character has never particularly interested me, though I enjoy Q, but also I do find the whole kind of Eastern overtones a little icky. I do kind of hope he never comes back.
I did like how he was treated in, was it the Virgin New Adventures, where it was alluded to that the Celestial Toymaker was one of the Eternals, along with the White Guardian, the Black Guardian, Time. You know, the Doctor became Time's champion, and then the Celestial Toymaker, I think, was called the Crystal Guardian. What's really funny, and this is kind of a tangent, but the whole concept of like the Guardians, they come from a previous universe. So back when the expansion and contraction, you know, the big crunch theory of kind of celestial mechanics was underway, which now I think is outdated, right? Because the universe is just continuing to expand. It's not going to collapse in on itself again. But the thought was that the Guardians were created because they exist from the previous universe, and just before that universe was set to collapse, they kind of sidestepped in time for half a second and then found themselves in this universe. And then because they had developed in a universe where the laws of physics were different, they now appear to have like what would be considered like magical powers because they can affect the very fabric of reality here. So, I mean, that was a huge, long, convoluted origin story for the Guardians that was outlined in the New Adventures, but for some reason it really appealed to me. I like that.
And also Fenric, I think, came from that route as well.
Yes, he was another one.
Yeah, so all of this is far more interesting than the Eighth Doctor comic we've been doing.
Yes. Shall we move on to the Ninth Doctor?
Yeah. So
We have Mystery Date, featuring the Ninth Doctor and Rose, with art by David Messina. I'm not sure.
again, somebody with whom I'm not familiar. Yeah, so the Ninth Doctor and Rose are visiting the monument to Drake Elborn of Alta 7, which is a planet, and he's Even Richard and Howard Hughes or Scrooge McDuck. I kind of like that because that's an accidental reference to David Tennant.
It is.
Tennant's playing Scrooge McDuck in the DuckTales TV series, isn't it?
Yeah, the new one. Yeah.
Yeah.
The tomb, this grand tomb that the Doctor takes Rose to, it's like a huge tower, but
yes, think the Tower of Rassilon, but bigger.
Yep.
Yeah,
and no one's allowed on it. The only place you're supposed to be able to look at it is from orbit. But the Drake Elborn, he's not dead. He's alive, and he's living inside the tomb, looking youthful, and he creates artificial environments in his tower tomb. And because the Doctor and Rose are there, and because Rose reminds him of his former bride, who's now dead, he decides he wants to hold Rose captive against her will.
this felt very Sixth Doctor. Yeah, because this is the kind of thing that happens more to the Sixth Doctor and Perry than it did to the Ninth Doctor and Rose. I mean, to be fair, not a lot of things happen to the Ninth Doctor and Rose.
Yeah, it also felt a little dated, I felt, in terms of motivations. Princess in the tower, sort of.
Yeah.
The Doctor catches up to Rose and Drake, and he destroys the time crystal that Drake was using to be youthful in the tower kind of control room, which causes him to age very rapidly in a few seconds. And he orders we have more security robots, a different design again this time, to kill the Doctor and Rose. But the Doctor's already reprogrammed the robots. Apparently Drake had an override to the override. And the Doctor and Rose are being pursued again, and Drake says, "Okay, well, if I'm going to be old, and if I can't have Rose, no one will." So, in a fit of revenge, he detonates the tower, and it explodes. And as the Doctor and Rose are running away from it, this hooded figure appears again and confronts the Doctor and Rose, and then the hood is pulled back, and the villain is revealed to be...
Dun, 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 Adam
Mitchell.
Yeah.
From Dalek and the Long Game, so from Series 1. And we get some flashbacks to kind of what happened after the Doctor had left him with the neural spike in his head. He claims that his mother, who had found out his secret, was killed by a brain embolism.
Yeah, but not immediately.
But then the comic panel that's with that, I can't tell if he's like comforting his mother or if he's trying to like break her neck. It's a very weird image where I'm like, I can't tell if Adam's lying and he killed his own mother, or if she had just fainted and it was just drawn poorly, but it's kind of unclear there as to how she actually died.
And he then spent time tracking the Doctor and Rose, and discovered that he sees quite a few of the images that is seen in the TV episode Rose, including the Doctor at Dallas in 1963. So he's there for the JFK assassination, which was the slightly topical thing that I was referencing from earlier. Because that was also 2013 was the 50th anniversary of both these events. And also rather tastefully, I note that apparently on the publishing summary it says November 23, 1963, the day the world changed forever. Well, the world was pretty shaken by events of the previous day, I suspect.
Yeah.
But
we get more references to what's been happening with Adam, and he kind of got old over time, laying low. He eventually stole a fortune via internet hacking, and he unearthed Van Statten's collection in Utah after it had been sealed over with concrete, and he used so he gets back down into Van Statten's lair and uses a Cyberman head to send a distress signal, which doesn't bring the Cybermen, but it brings a time agent. Similarly dressed.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Why is it time agent?
Maybe they're attuned to cyber frequencies and try and contain them throughout history as one of their objectives. It's hard to say, but yeah. Yes. That's me filling in a lot of blanks.
Yes.
Yeah, he brings a time agent who is dressed very similarly to Captain Jack, but is not Captain Jack. And Adam apparently either kills him or stuns him or knocks him out with gas and takes his vortex manipulator, which is why it looks like the same model that we see in Day of the Doctor, but it's it belongs to this time agent. Adam kind of shocks and kicks the Ninth Doctor with electricity and leaving him bloodied, and he kidnaps Rose, and that's where that one ends.
Yeah.
Then we get an essay from Clayton Hickman where he talks about some things that we'll touch on again in our listener mail section, so little tease there.
Okay.
Talking about the end of the Eighth Doctor comics and the 5 Ninth Doctor strips that DWM did before Eccleston regenerated. I really liked this one just in terms of the dialogue with the Ninth Doctor and Rose. I felt it captured the era and just kind of their banter back and forth really well.
Yeah, definitely. This, whilst the Drake Airborne stuff does feel quite slight. I mean, it has to be because they have to do the reveal of Adam, and I must say I'd guessed it that it was going to be Adam, not right from the start, but when we get when there's an implication that the mysterious figure is a former friend of the Doctor, I'm like, oh, it's going to be Adam, because I figured it's got to be something that, because it can't be. Turlough wouldn't make sense to a modern audience. It has to be someone that the modern audience knows. And also Adam is one of the great sort of like loose threads, because I always kind of expected that he would return in some media or other, because it's such an obvious storyline to pick up with, because clearly he's not going to be happy.
We get a little bit of a hint that Adam's in the story way back in the first issue. On the wall of companions, Adam's face is included with the neural spike opened, and someone who's looking carefully at that might think, well, why is Adam listed as one of the Doctor's companions there? So it was just a nice little hint. I think it was quite near the picture of Katie Manning on that board.
Yes, and people are distracted by the Katie Manningness. Yeah.
So shall we go on to issue 10? So this one's called Quiet on the Set, and it features the 10th Doctor and Martha, with art by Elena Casagrande, and I'm not familiar with her work.
I assume that these people are IDW stalwarts, and we are in 50s LA, and we start off in the Griffith Observatory,
where Rebel Without a Cause was shot, amongst many other things. It's the observatory. If you ever see a film in LA where someone's looking at the stars, something, it's there. Very iconic.
Yes, and the Doctor uses a telescope to find a fleeting image of Gallifrey, which is quite lovely.
Yeah, one of the last remnants of light that it sent before getting locked by the events of the Time War. Of course, he has to kind of sonic the telescope to make it work that well, because we can't resolve pictures of planets today, but and certainly not in the 1950s. But that was really cool to see. The Doctor lets Martha look at it, but he doesn't want to look at it himself, so you can tell he's still very troubled by the decision he made as the War Doctor with the moment. And
they're interrupted by a film shoot, which is having troubles with crew mysteriously leaving. And so the Doctor has a kind of a little look around and kind of like the prop room and stuff, because this seems to be a bit of a science fiction film. The eagle-eyed might spot in amongst the costumes there's a Quark,
along with a lot of other costumes like Robbie the Robot and some other Hollywood ones. But yes, a Quark from the Dominators, which is surprising because the Weeping Angels are on the cover of this one.
And I think I might have rather read a Weeping Angels comic than one that features Quark.
The Doctor discovers the Quark and disables it, and kind of follows its tracks in the sand and out into the Los Angeles hills. And while he's doing that, Martha gets cast in the movie as the female lead because the previous one had disappeared. And another Quark is there and kidnaps Martha and takes her to a cell.
Sorry, it does it in a lovely way because it's politely knocking on her trailer door.
as a little quirk would do.
Yes, it looks so cute.
I really wish Character Options would have done a Quark model in their figures. It would have been a cute one to have on the shelf.
Yeah, because that's the thing. The Quarks look cute. They don't look scary. Yeah. They never have. They never will. They just
Quarks and Chumblies, I think, would be a fun spin-off series.
Yeah. So yeah, Martha's captured, and one of her fellow prisoners hears talk of a labour force and assumes it's a union dispute, and then the door opens and it's the Dominators! Yay! From everybody's favourite Troughton story.
Yeah. Complete with the big hump shoulder pad sort of thing they got going on.
Yeah. And they're planning to use the movie to smuggle in subliminal messages and take control of humanity. So don't worry, Facebook will do that for you.
The Doctor kind of bluffs with a movie ray gun and gives a very Tenet-esque speech. And then gets chased by the robots and gets them all to destroy each other and the subliminal message machine in a bit of well-timed crossfire.
Yeah, conveniently well-timed, yes. And the Dominator's just got to go, oh, well, this looks a bit hard, and beam out.
And then Adam appears and kidnaps Martha, and then the Doctor, at this point, kind of realizes what's happening. He's met Adam before, and then because he has a difficulty remembering a lot of these events due to kind of an influence that Adam has been creating in his mind. It's mentioned later as to why that's happening.
Well, also due to the fact that, like with multi-Doctor stories, there is usually that's difficulty.
That haze, yeah.
Yes, yeah, because it helps with the plot.
The Doctor sends his holographic message back in time to Frobisher, which we saw in issue 6. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know if I was to choose somebody to kind of to do something like that. I don't know if Frobisher would be my first choice.
And then we get an essay from Tony Lee talking about his work with the 10th Doctor in IDW.
Yeah, that's quite nice.
And then, anything else you want to say about this one?
No, just apart from the Tennantness is well captured. Yeah. I mean, I don't know whether. Yeah, I mean, Martha doesn't seem miscaptured. It's just I've never really got a kind of a handle on Martha's character.
You'd think the 10th Doctor would have been paired with Rose, but then who would have the 9th Doctor have been paired with in terms of kind of their most well-known companions? So
it's nice as Martha. Yeah. Because quite often, obviously nowadays you've got the 10th Doctor and Donna on their audio adventures, but from an inclusivity point of view, I like the fact it's Martha. I just wish that I enjoyed Martha as a character more. Which makes me so glad that Bill was so brilliant. And is brilliant. Right, shall we move on?
Issue 11, The Choice.
Yes.
Featuring the 11th Doctor and Clara, with art by Matt Smith.
Really?
Matthew Dow Smith. Yes.
There was speaking of Matt Smith, his mum put on Twitter a baby photo of him recently to celebrate his 35th birthday. I
saw that was adorable. And then in the replies, someone else posted a picture of him maybe a year or two older in like a footballer uniform, which is cool too.
Yeah, and I don't know if I've ever told this story, but a friend of mine went to school with Matt Smith. And stop me if I have.
No.
And he's a couple of years younger than Matt, and you remember that there was a certain swear word that the first time he ever heard anybody say in real life was Matt Smith, whilst he was kind of trying to encourage people to kind of because Matt Smith I think was like house prefect or something, and trying to kind of encourage them to behave themselves. So Matt Smith taught my friend to swear.
Funny.
Yes.
So this one starts out kind of interesting. The Silents are on the cover. They're not in the book, or if they are, I've forgotten about it.
Boom, boom. Yes.
This one starts out kind of funny because it's really it starts with the last frame of most of the previous issues. So in this case, the Doctor and Clara have ended a civil war on a swamp planet with frogmen. And you see kind of Adam sneaking up on them, getting ready to kidnap Clara.
Yes. I mean, it doesn't sound like a very interesting story. I mean, it was like a civil war. It seems to be all very easily resolved, like most of the other stories. And Clara has had mucus in her hair or something. But yeah, it's not one where you go, oh, I wish I'd seen more of that. So, no, that one looks dull. It looks like this is a good editorial decision.
Captured it in 1 or 2 frames, which is all it really needed.
Yes.
And then so Clara does get kidnapped. The Doctor gets knocked out, and then the Doctor revisits all the sites of the previous kidnappings looking for clues. So you see him kind of revisiting some of the locations from previous issues.
Chatting to Agent Paul, who is still not the Delgado Master, but as you're right, maybe it's a deep disguise.
He also goes into Adam's past to try and figure out what's going on. And he sees different pictures of himself, including the 6th Doctor in his real-time Big Finish blue outfit, which was a nice little touch. Yes. And then the Doctor goes to, he's continuing to follow the trail, and he goes to Van Statten's vault, where he sees the Time Agent, or the body of the Time Agent, who isn't dead, but I guess he's been frozen from the energy beam that hit him. And he's been conscious for the last several months, so he's been awake, which is kind of weird. But it doesn't mean he knows kind of what's going on, because he's been able to observe Adam's, what he's been doing. And that leads them to Adam's hideout, which is a bubble city on an asteroid in the time vortex.
Yes, well, it's in limbo between time periods. Like, how does that work?
Yeah. And how do you build that with 21st century? Well, I suppose he had access to a lot of Van Statten stuff, but even so, that's a bit of an engineering feat.
Well, it reminds me a little bit of Lawrence Miles' concept of the 11-day empire.
Which I love.
Yes. Yeah. In case you're not familiar, the UK switched calendars. We moved forward in time 11 days.
From the Julian to the Gregorian, right? I think.
Believe so. I was a bit nervous of saying that in case I got it the wrong way around. That's a brilliant concept. This isn't necessarily quite so well executed, but it's just like it's in between time.
Maybe it's a city that was abandoned that he found, because I doubt he built the whole thing himself.
Yeah.
Adam is waiting for the Doctor there, though, and he says the Time Agent was left as bait for the Doctor to find. And the Anthony Ainley Master appears again alongside Adam, and he says, "You're looking very youthful, Doctor. Which incarnation is this?" And the Doctor replies, "One who hasn't seen your ugly mug in a pleasantly long time."
Yes.
What's happened with you? Extreme wrestling with the Rani again?
Yes. I loved that. Because the Master's been wounded by the aerolifts from the 7th Doctor.
And he mentions he's been tortured by them for decades, so he's very bitter and scarred by the experience.
Yeah, and then Adam starts lecturing the Doctor about his show of wronged, injured and ruined people. It feels very RTD, this.
Very similar to the speech that Davros gave to the 10th Doctor in Journey's End, I think, in terms of the recurring theme of what happens to those kind of caught up in the Doctor's wake. And Adam and the Master then show off their collection of companions and stasis tubes, which is
all of them.
Yeah, far more vast than we've seen depicted in the comics, and several companions. I wasn't able to place them all.
I wonder whether there's some audio and book ones in there as well. But fortunately, for this, the artwork is slightly better than the last time we saw a big selection of companions. I guess there must be some audio folks in there.
And then it ends on a cliffhanger with Adam holding a detonator, and he wants to know which of the companions is the Doctor's favorite. Each of the capsules has a detonator, and the Doctor can only save one of the companions. So that's kind of Adam's long game is to get the Doctor to make this choice and just pick one. And like with the Fourth Doctor, there's no essay with this issue.
No. So we now move into Endgame, appropriately, and the last photo. And so I can't remember who did the artwork on that one.
Kelly Yates, who I'm not familiar with either.
No, I like that that the artwork for these last two stories mesh nicely. I had to double check to make sure it wasn't the same artist. I felt that the styles complemented each other, which is good, because like, if you're reading like a collection of story or a collection of issues, and if it's all supposed to be one big story, it can be really quite jarring if they suddenly have to change artists midway through. You're just going to go, right, okay, which sometimes happens with particularly with DC collections due to pressures of time, etc. But
the cover art is someone standing at the Eccleston Tenant Council. I'm not sure who that is, if that's supposed to be Adam or who, but there are alternate covers with all 11 Doctors on them too. And this picks up where the cliffhanger leaves off, and the Doctor asks for a moment to confer with his associates, and then all of a sudden, all sorts of TARDISes start appearing in the room. Unfortunately, it's a very large room.
yes.
And then Adam is furious, that all the Doctors have come out, and he goes to detonate the remote, but then...
The remote is Frobisher.
Yes. So, yep.
Foiled again. So Adam now unleashes some Autons, and then an Auton stands quite close to Adam, and it's Frobisher again. And he manages to overpower Adam and unleashes all the companions.
Yep.
And so you get lots of companions, and there's a nice scene where Amy and Rory run up to the 11th Doctor, and Amy asks who the new girl is, referring to Clara. But that Amy would ask that, wouldn't she? And and I can just imagine the poutiness.
Some of the likenesses here are a little bit suspect. I'm not sure who's fighting alongside the third Doctor. I think it's supposed to be Sarah Jane, but I'm not sure. You did get a cool moment where Mickey and Martha meet, which may be the first time they meet, and they end up getting married eventually. So that's kind of a cool moment.
You also get Chameleon, which is nice.
No scenes of the 10th Doctor talking to Rose or anything like that, though.
No.
The Master's planning to create a feedback loop using all of the TARDISes to unravel time itself. But Adam finally comes to his senses and tries to stop him after some persuading. Yeah.
Yes.
The Master stabs Adam through... I want to say Adam's been wearing kind of modified Cybermen armor throughout all of this, because you see some exoskeleton tubes that look very reminiscent of like a Moonbase era Cybermen.
I thought of him as just basically looking like an 80s supervillain. In universe, I'm not quite sure what he's supposed to be dressed as, but hey ho. So Adam's been heavily injured, obviously, by the stabbing, and he teleports to a time console where he kind of like overrides the energy or something.
Yeah, using the vortex manipulator on his arm. The Master thinks he's fled away, but he just really teleports behind the Master at the console, and he destroys the console and creates with a feedback loop. The Master is able to escape in a flash of blue light, not unlike how Missy does in Death in Heaven at the end of Series 8. Adam then dies, and the Doctor forgives him, and all the Doctors bury Adam on the asteroid. And his tombstone, which is TARDIS-shaped, reads, Adam Mitchell, a companion true. And it ends with an essay from one of the authors, from Scott Tipton, written in October 2013, kind of going through and identifying the characteristics of the show that have made it so enduring for the past 50 years, and it kind of serves as an acknowledgement and thanks for working on the comic series.
Yeah, so that's quite lovely, where he's saying that he's glad that a boy from California has been able to kind of write and shape the Doctor's adventures.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of banter between the Doctors in this part. I was hoping for maybe more interactions, and I almost felt like this last part could have been two parts. We got a few cool character
Yes.
moments, but you don't get a lot of that, second Doctor, third Doctor bickering or anything like that. It's very fleeting.
Yeah, but also, so then again, at that kind of time, we have just had the Day of the Doctor, so maybe it might have been toned down a little bit because you didn't know. Because also they wouldn't have known what pairings would necessarily be happening on TV. I don't know, but yeah, could have done some more banter.
Yeah.
So yes, their end of the story.
So what did you think? What did you think about bringing back Adam and making him the villain?
Yeah.
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 If they're going to pick someone, yeah.
Yeah, and he's as I was saying earlier, he's the obvious one because it did have to be somebody that people would have recognised because it would have been a nasty cheat if after all of this it was like, oh, it's my friend Corymphananus that no one has ever heard of. I know from the Academy or something. Yeah, no, I think it was good. I mean, yeah, the writing team capture some of the eras better than others, but I mean, some of the dialogue when it sings, it really does sing, like the 9th and 7th and. Stuff. But yeah,
I thought it was an interesting kind of look at the choice of companions and doctors picked. I think for the most part they're pretty straightforward with few surprises. Having Liz and Sarah Jane meet was really cool, and I'm glad Frobisher was included because hey, it's a comic book and his character I think deserves to be recognized as part of the anniversary in this medium. So
definitely. I think I'd have been upset if Frobisher hadn't been in it.
Yeah.
Particularly if you've gone to the trouble of hiring John Ridgway, you need to have Frobisher in there.
Yeah. I think it also makes sense, like we talked about, that the Ninth Doctor is paired with Rose. Although, I think it would be cool, and I don't think this has ever been done, to get a two Doctors, two companions story with different Doctors but with the same companion just later in life. Imagine like a 11th Doctor and Clara meeting the 12th Doctor and Clara, or the 3rd Doctor and Sarah Jane paired with the 4th Doctor and Sarah, or Rose meeting Rose. That type of story's never been done before, and I thought that something like that would be cool for like a future anniversary story.
Yeah, that's definitely sounds like something that Big Finish would do. I mean, you have had the 4th Doctor and Nyssa meeting each other, but at differing bits of their timeline. Yeah, that would be kind of cool.
What did you think about reading a graphic novel? I thought it was kind of a different bit of change of pace. It was nice. Not something, again, same with the anthology series that I'd want to do all the time, but maybe once or twice a year. It seems like it's so fun.
Yeah, it was certainly it was enjoyable to be experiencing Doctor Who in another medium, and also I had such fond memories of reading the comics because the best Sixth Doctor portrayal, at least before Big Finish got their license, was in the comics, and some of those comics were magnificent, particularly Voyager. I mean, if you've read this, and if you've never read Voyager, and if you even remotely enjoyed the Sixth Doctor, just go and get it now. We'll wait for you.
It'd be a good one to review for the podcast sometime, I think.
Yeah, you have read my mind.
I have the Panini collection of it, and also the earlier, I think the colorized version too.
Yeah, I've got the one that Marvel put out in the 80s, and I remember, or the very latest, and I remember the day at which I found it in a bookshop that I just happened to be visiting, and I can't remember because I know vaguely where it was. I can't remember anything else that we saw that day. I just remember my sheer excitement at finding a copy of Voyager, and also my relief that it lived up to my sky-high expectations. What do you make of what we've read?
I think I would give this a 6 out of 10. I feel like it's a bit of fun but forgettable fluff for the 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
I think it would have been nice to have maybe more of an overarching theme or deeper examination of some of the facets of the Doctor's character. Maybe some, exploring some of the commonalities he shares across all of his incarnations. The ending the resolution felt a bit rushed. Still, even so, each issue did have one or two memorable scenes in them. You know, like the TARDIS materializing in a police box shop. That was one of my favorites. Yeah, so 6 out of 10 for me. How about yourself?
Yeah, I think 6. I mean, about the resolution, I mean, quite a few of these stories do have very rushed resolutions. I mean, I guess it's hard to do a Doctor Who story in one in one issue, in like 20 pages or so, and particularly if you are trying to evoke anything approaching that era. As I say, it was enjoyable fluff. I mean, yeah, and I'm some of these stories I will forget, but the one that I do keep on going back to in my mind is the Second Doctor one, just because of all of the the fun imagery, and it was it was such a laugh reading that.
Yeah, I look forward to reading one of the graphic novels that's more of a traditional kind of single Doctor episodic outing, as opposed to like a anniversary kind of kitchen sink approach, because it's a little crowded.
I mean, in the same way that you wouldn't judge Big Finish by the light at the end,
right?
Even though that's I think that's more successful than this, but still, you do have to sort of always kind of just appreciate what they're trying to do. Yeah.
So, shall we move on to listener feedback?
Yes.
We have 2 emails this month. One from a Ryan and one from a Brian. So
oh, okay.
So speaking of comics, Ryan writes in about Chris, your comment last month, talking about Eye of Heaven being the regeneration story that never was.
Okay.
He says that there's another story along those same lines, not in the novels, but in the comics, in the 8th Doctor DWM comic The Flood, which features a redesigned Cyberman, and he says it almost ended with the 8th Doctor regenerating into Christopher Eccleston, and RTD had given the magazine permission to go ahead and regenerate the character that way, but ultimately it didn't happen. And he said you can read more about it in the Flood graphic novel from Panini, which I believe is the 8th Doctor Volume 4, which includes like a bonus essay including kind of early art showing how the regeneration that was dropped would have been depicted.
Okay.
So,
cool.
And I think maybe it's a good thing too, otherwise we might not have gotten the War Doctor, or more likely Moffat would have just kind of shunted that particular comic off into Apocrypha territory.
Yeah, well, and there certainly has been enough bits that have been shunted off into Apocrypha by Moffat. So, for example, Ground Zero, which was
the Ace,
Doctors. Yes. Yep. I shall say no more for fear of spoilers.
Sure.
But that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Or at least it's implied it doesn't. But yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
And then we also got an email from Brian. He had written previously, who he had worked on restoring the TV movie console.
Yes, yes.
And he writes, just caught up on the last episode. Great fun as always. Really enjoyed the discussion of Eye of Heaven as the Virgin 7th Doctor book regeneration that the BBC wouldn't allow. He said, I didn't know that Mortimer originally pitched this to Virgin, and he said he always figured the 7th Doctor's death would have been at the hands of one of Kate Orman's savage beatings.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah.
He also said he's really looking forward to hearing us talk about Doctor Who comics. He's been impressed with the ones he's read. He said the latest miniseries from Titan is excellent. George Mann, who we might remember from Engines of War, did an excellent 8th Doctor series, which he said reads like an anthology of Miyazaki short films. Intriguing. And Paul Cornell and his old friend Chris Jones recently created the Pertwee series, which he says is as much fun as a Roger Moore Bond film. He said Christopher Jones borrowed a little corgi model of Bessie from him earlier this year to get all the angles of it right when he drew the series. So he said one of the bits of junk on his desk is pretty well traveled as a cartoon. I think I know the Corgi model he's talking about. If it's part of the 40th anniversary set that Corgi released with 5 or 6 different Doctor Who pieces in a film canister reel, I have that same set. It's funny that he knows Christopher Jones. I've spent many a weekend with Chris on brainstorming retreats when we were both serving as officers and board members of the parent organization of Convergence, and used to go to themed movie nights at his house back in the day and stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Cool.
And then he also says, do you take requests? I'm about to go through the New Adventure run of books to complete the set. He's read through all the Wilderness Year ranges and the targets, and he's heard some pretty bad things about some of the new series adventures. He says one of the best bits of Eric and Sean's original book club was listening to them tear apart a dud book. He said it makes reading through a whole series in order a lot more bearable when he gets to entries like The Pit or The Longest Day. So he asks that next time we do a new series book in our rotation, if we can choose an unpopular one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, St. Anthony's Fire, I don't think is necessarily got lots of fans.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, because I was having an idea for another one, because, that would make me change my thinking.
Yeah, we'll see.
Sorry.
We'll see. We'll get to him, I think.
Just wanted to give a shout out to Jeff from the Facebook page as well, who has been kind of commenting on Eye of Heaven, and also asked whether I sailed from Portsmouth recently as depicted in the Eye of Heaven, whether I did so in a whale. Alas, no. It was an Isle of Wight ferry, which was almost as painful. Yeah. So next month.
Yes.
Yes, it's Christmas time.
It is.
So what should we do?
Well, Chris, you still get January's pick, but there's still one missing title to read from the Classic Doctor Who Book Club podcast of Eric and Sean.
Yes.
I'm not sure if this qualifies as an unpopular new adventure title, but we'll see.
It's a very popular author.
Yeah. We got St. Anthony's Fire out of the way this summer, but to quote a famous science fiction franchise, there is another. So as a special holiday treat, we bring you the final lost selection from the original Doctor Who Book Club podcast. For December, it's Christmas on a Rational Planet by Lawrence Miles, which was a 7th Doctor book from the New Adventures range. And 2 years ago, in November of 2015, it was selected for episode 58, the anti-penultimate episode of the original book club podcast, but it was never recorded, and it was dropped and replaced with The Last Resort in February 2016.
Yes.
I've not read any other work by Lawrence Miles except for, shall we say, a few pointed blog posts that he's done. But I have listened to a few of the Faction Paradox spin-off audios he did, and rather enjoyed those, so it should be interesting.
So have you never read Alien Bodies?
I have not, no.
Oh, okay.
I've listened to the original book club podcast about it, and
so you know what happens, yeah.
how it's similar to Time of the Doctor in some respects. Yeah.
I'm very much looking forward to it, because I've never read this, and I love Lawrence Miles. So it would be interesting to see, because this is his debut, just how Lawrence Miles he is in his first outing, because the guy does crazy. It's often quite clever and it's quite witty, and I'm looking forward to it. Because also one thing that I would suggest as well, if you enjoyed Lawrence Miles and if you can find a copy of this, I would thoroughly recommend Down, which was his Benny New Adventures book. It's a Benny solo book which features Nazis on an alien planet and dinosaurs and the Hollow Earth. It's bonkers. It's brilliant.
The one thing I'm a little bit trepidatious about is I feel like the first time an author writes a Doctor Who book, they have so many ideas, that they don't know if they're going to have the opportunity to write more after that.
Yes.
And I feel like a lot of debut author books tend to shoehorn in a lot of different ideas, and sometimes they get better after their debut, but it'll be interesting to see if Miles does that or if he holds back a little bit more and 'Cause it sounds like he
Yeah.
gets way out there as it goes on. So yeah, I can't imagine where he starts from.
Yeah, he's no stranger to the shoehorn. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if in fact what I know as Lawrence Miles' style is toned down. But, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, cool.
Well, until next month, I've been Matt in Minnesota.
Chris in South London. Happy reading.
Thank you for listening to the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast. Special thanks to George C. Music for use of their song, Doctor Who Theme, Swing Jazz Version. You can follow us on Twitter at ANDWBC Podcast and like us on Facebook. You can support the show by leaving us a rating and review on iTunes. You can contact the show by emailing your thoughts to andwbcpodcast@gmail.com. And until next month, happy reading.
Yesterday, I went on a kind of like a spy walk thing with because we have a friend who's visiting, and I discovered that a building I used to work in was the original headquarters of MI5.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I had no idea when I worked there. So, one of that company's other buildings, every meeting room was named after a Bond villain. So that might have been a possible hint. Yeah, that was kind of cool, because like when the guide was like, oh, and this over here, da da da, and I'm like, yeah.
Remind me, so is MI5 the equivalent to the FBI where it's internal, and then MI6 is international, like the CIA?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Both are disavowed still, or has that changed?
That's changed. That's changed. And also, both organisations were actually at one point based in that building.
Huh.
Yeah. If you kind of Google MI6, you'll go and see the SIS, which is the official governmental name for it. And there was never an MI 1 through 4. So
That we know of.
that we know of. Yeah. So it was that was kind of unexpected.
Cool.
Very bizarre.